Today, I want to share something about China, US, and India and Russia on the many issues that is everyone is seeing these days. First of all, China and US, the trade war. In my opinion, there shouldn't be a trade war. Here is why. China is a country that's developing its economy and in a very, very fast pace. Um, and it's very strong, but it's not uh, so strong that it could ignore U.S. and Canada in its trade relationships. It will actually uh, not only damage economically, it will damage on its image-wise also because these two country uh, has one of the most educated people. I live in Canada, and I think in Canada we have uh, a lot of very educated people and very friendly people, and China shouldn't ignore countries like Canada and US. Another reason is uh, for the long term. For the long term, the longer China do trade with US and its ally countries, the better strategically for China. Because if you think about it, how do you um, expect people to know your country beside doing trade with them? So there's not many options. There will be movies, there will be propaganda, and there could be books about China. But there's not many other ways to do this kind of educational um, uh, things with other country to make other people know you. So the best way and the most beneficial way for both sides that's doing the trade is to do business together. If any two country do business together for let's say over hundreds of years, and they were doing very well. Both sides are very happy with the business that's happening for hundreds of years. There will be never war. There won't be any war because they will become family and friends. And people travel between these countries all the time. There will not be war. So the best way to go forward with US and Canada and its ally countries is to continue to do trade. Um, Even some of the presidents in some countries are not very friendly with China. I think the best strategy for China is to ignore it. Do not um, put any sanctions or any punishment on those countries, even though they're trying to uh, put those things on China. The best strategy is just to ignore it, and in many 100% of the case, the democratically elected countries president are changing all the time. So every 8 years, people think 8 years is a long time, but if you look at the big picture, in 100 years, 8 years, it's a very short period of time. So here is my opinion for China and US. Um, China and Russia and India. For a long time, I have been thinking that China, um, what China is doing right now is very good. I never thought Chinese government would do this in in 100 or 200 years, not in my lifetime. But what they see is amazing. They start strengthening their relationships with India and with Russia, uh, and any other country that wants to do business with China. But the most important countries for me, I think, is the countries that's around China. So that includes Japan, includes Korea, that includes anybody who is neighbors in China with China. Because let's say if you have most of your neighbors are your enemies or don't share any interest with you, you create yourself this kind of environment that's not good for growth in any way. So you don't have friends, all your neighbors are not your friends. How do you expect to have a good, healthy um, life in general? It just won't happen. It's the same thing with individual people like you and me. If we don't have a good relationship with our neighbors, how do we feel at home, even we are at home? It is something that China is starting to look at it, and I think in the long term, um, I hope China will keep going and don't stop until all the countries, especially Russia and India, have some kind of relationship that are so strong that it's almost like the Northern Alliance, uh, like United States, Canada, Australia, what they have set up. They should have the same kind of system. So they're militarily, strategically, they're all together. And when someone is getting attacked or is on the verge of getting attacked, the other countries should stand up and prevent this war from happening. Or if it has to happen, then uh, spend a maximum effort to end the war as soon as possible so we don't lose so many lives. And if, let's say, this relationship between China, Russia, and India can um, really happen, I think for the next 1,000 years, there won't be any war. Simply because the power balance is there. Just, when the other side thinking about attacking, they have to think the winning chances. And if the winning chances is not there or is very slim, just there won't be any war. So the best way is to strengthen China's neighboring relationships strategically, and at the same time just go with the economics and do business with everyone, and keep doing business, keep sharing your high-tech sector, so make everyone have pretty much everything that you have. The key is sharing. When countries start sharing, technology will grow in times 10, times 100 kind of speed. When countries close their doors, technology simply will not grow, because in order to grow, you do not need any secrecy. Imagine there's no secrecy. We should be on Mars in 10 years. Imagine there's no secrecy. All the countries work together. We should be having time machines or warp drive that travel in the light speed, that kind of engine. in less than 100 years. This is how things works. Nuclear fusion should be there already. A lot of scientists already worked it out. However, the secrecy is the only thing that's preventing all this from happening. Here is a little bit of my thought about the world and international relationship and how to achieve a good economic environment, how to achieve a good peaceful environment for the whole planet, for the moment. I hope you enjoy the video. Thank you.